ஆழ்வார் திருவடிகளே சரணம். எம்பெருமானார் திருவடிகளே சரணம். பிள்ளைலோக்கச்சரியர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். Sri Vachanabhushana Divya Shastram. Pillelokacharya mercifully gave this wonderful Rahasya Grantham for the benefit of all of us. Manavada Mamnigal has given a beautiful commentary for this wonderful Rahasya Grantham. With the help of this commentary, we are going through the English meanings for Sri Vachanabhushana Divya Shastram. There are 6 sections in this Sri Vachanabhushana Divya Shastram. Each section is focused on highlighting one particular principle. Purushakara Vaibhavancha Sadhanasya Gauravam Tadadikari Krityam Asya Sadgurupa Sevanam Haridayam Haitukem Gurorupaya Tanchayo Vachanabhushane Vadajjagat Gurum Tamashraye. In this Taniyan, these 6 concepts, these 6 principles are listed out. First concept is Purushakara Vaibhavam, that is greatness of Mahalakshmi Tayar, who is the Purushakara Bhuta. Second principle is Sadhanasya Gauravam, the greatness of Bhagavan, the upAyam. Third section is Tadadikari Krityam, how the person who pursues Bhagavan as upAyam, he should conduct himself. That is the third principle, which is seen in the third section. Asya Sadgurupa Sevanam, that is the service rendered to the Acharya, the true Acharya, how that should be done. That is the fourth section, fourth principle explained in fourth section. And then Haridaya Mahetukim, Bhagavan's mercy is unconditional. His grace is without any preconditions. Just because of the relationship between Jivatma and Paramatma, Paramatma is showing his mercy. That is fifth section. And then finally, Guru Rupaya Tanchayo, the Acharya, the Guru himself is the means and the end. That is explained in the last section. These are the 6 principles explained in the 6 sections. Now we are in the second prakaranam, second section, that is speaking about Sadhanasya Gauravam, the greatness of Bhagavan as upAyam. While explaining this sadhanam, Bhagavan as the upAyam, the concept of prapaththi is being explained in great detail by Pillelokacharya. This is very important for us to understand. This prapaththi need to be very clearly understood. This prapaththi is defined by our acharyas as upaya varanam, that is accepting Bhagavan as upayam. This Bhagavan is the upayam, there is no doubt about it. But prapaththi is that acceptance of that principle. For each individual, the individual need to do prapaththi in this manner, accepting Bhagavan as the upayam. Now, what is that prapaththi? How does that count? Is that the means? Is it because of prapaththi Bhagavan is showing his mercy? That is the main question. For that, Pillelokacharya is answering that prapaththi is not the upayam. It is not the means. Bhagavan is the upayam. That is what prapaththi itself is explaining. The definition for prapaththi itself is accepting Bhagavan as upayam. So there is no question of prapaththi being upayam. So what is this prapaththi then? This prapaththi is explained as the natural quality of a Jivatma. Jivatma being totally dependent on Bhagavan, his natural disposition is to remain surrendered to Bhagavan. So this is just a quality of the Jivatma, and it is not the means. So that principle is being explained here. That is the important concept which is going to be explained today in great detail. But before that, we have to see 53rd Sutram as well. We have seen up to 52nd Sutram. Now we have to see from the 53rd Sutram. Let us see that today. Sri Shailesha Dayapatram Devaktyadi Gunanavam Yatindra Pravanam Mande Ramya Jamataram Munim Ramya Jamatri Yogendra Padare Kamayam Sada Tada Yatatma Sattadim Ramanuja Munim Bhaje Lokacharya Gurave Krishna Padasya Sunave Samsara Bhogi Sandashta Jiva Jivatave Namaha Loka Gurum Gurvisaha Purvaihi Purakulottama Dasamudaram Srinagapatya Bhirama Vreshau Di Prashayana Guruncha Vajeham लोकाचार्य कृते लोकहिते वचनभूषणे तत्त्वार्थदर्शिनो लोके तन्निष्ठाश्च सुदुर्लभाः जगदाचार्य रचिते श्रीमद्वचनभूषणे तत्त्वज्ञानञ्च तन्निष्ठां देहिनाथ यतीन्द्र मे. This last shlokam, we pray to Bhagavad Ramanuja that we understand the principles which are explained in Sri Vachanabhushanam. These principles are very difficult to comprehend and understand to start with. And after understanding those principles, we pray to Bhagavad Ramanuja that we are able to practice them in our lives also. Without the mercy of Bhagavad Ramanuja, this is not possible. Hence, we are praying to Bhagavad Ramanuja that this is bestowed to us by him. Now we will start seeing the 53rd Sutram. In this 53rd Sutram, we are continuing from where we left. 52nd Sutram we saw Tannai Penavum Pannum, Darikavum Pannum. What we are seeing now is after explaining the greatness of prapaththi and after explaining that the prapaththi which is done due to overwhelming devotion, we saw that three kinds of people perform prapaththi, that is Agnyar, Jnanadikar and Bhakti Paravashar. That is those who are ignorant of all other upayams, they accept prapaththi as the way and they surrender to Bhagavan. And then Jnanadikar means those who are very, very knowledgeable, they understand the true nature of Jivatma to be surrendered and to be totally dependent. Hence, they cannot perform any other upayam, they can only surrender to Bhagavan and accept him as upayam. And finally, Bhakti Paravashyam, that is those who are in the overwhelming devotional stage, they cannot do any activity. Their minds, their heart will melt immediately. As soon as they think about Bhagavan, they start melting. So they cannot perform any other action. So they completely surrender to Bhagavan and accept him as the upayam. We saw that these three types of people surrender to Bhagavan. And among those, this Bhakti Paravashyam is considered as the greatest reason to surrender to Bhagavan. Because in this particular situation, with great devotion, one will surely have great taste towards reaching Bhagavan and serving him. So that particular taste is very important factor, and that is seen in this surrender which is done due to Bhakti Paravashyam. Now, after explaining all of that, in 51st and 52nd Sutram, Pillilokacharya explained that the same Bhakti Paravashyam, it when it transforms into a higher stage, when it becomes very intense, that will destroy the prapaththi itself. So the same person performed prapaththi due to overwhelming bhakti. That same overwhelming bhakti, when it becomes even greater, that will destroy the prapaththi in that person. What does that mean? That means prapaththi is accepting Bhagavan as the upayam and waiting for his grace to accept us, to take us to Paramapadam. But these adhikaris, these personalities, great personalities such as Alvars, we can see in them that they sometimes engage in self-efforts, such as sending a messenger to Bhagavan, performing madal, and engaging in other activities such as praying to other devatas to get their help to reach Bhagavan. All of these are seen in Alvar's Pasuram. When these aspects are highlighted as to be avoided and they are forbidden for even for us, how can Alvars do certain things? That doubt will arise in people's mind. Hence, Pillilokacharya is addressing that doubt. He himself voluntarily says that due to overwhelming bhakti, when that bhakti even overflows and when that bhakti becomes beyond the melting point or the beyond the limits, at that time, Alvars, for example, they pray to Bhagavan, they send messengers, they perform madal and so on, which are contrary to the nature of the Jivatma. Why? Because we should not put any our own any of our own efforts to reach Bhagavan. We should accept Bhagavan as the upAyam and we should wait for him to accept us. But we see that alvars are doing this. Why? Because of the overwhelming love. They want to reach Bhagavan immediately. They cannot even tolerate the presence in this material world even for one more moment. Because of such urge, such great anguish in this world, they are trying in many different ways to reach Bhagavan. When they do it, it is glorified because it is out of overwhelming love. If we do it, that is because our ignorance. So when we are in ignorant stage, it is not acceptable. But when we are in a very, very highly evolved stage, it will be acceptable, as it was acceptable in the case of alvars. So it depends on one's mindset whether it is acceptable or not. So what happens is that particular overwhelming bhakti that destroys the nishtha of prapaththi. Prapaththi nishtha means waiting for Bhagavan, but here they are putting their own efforts and they are trying to reach Bhagavan. That is because of their overwhelming bhakti. So because of that, overwhelming bhakti will make them sustain even in absence of Bhagavan. So sometimes they sustain themselves. Sometimes they are also nurturing themselves. They are decorating themselves, trying to attract Bhagavan towards them. All of these are done due to that overwhelming bhakti. And the same bhakti, when Bhagavan comes to them in anticipation of accepting them, they will actually say, "You go away from us." In anger, in their romantic quarrel, they will say, "You go away from me," just as Nammalvar said in Minnadai Madavargal Padigam. So, the same overwhelming bhakti which leads them to prapaththi, after a while, when that overwhelming bhakti increases further into multifold, that will make them even sustain in the absence of Bhagavan. It will make them engage in self efforts. It will make them engage in other activities such as driving away Bhagavan and so on. So that is a very deep emotional connection, deep emotional relationship with Bhagavan, which makes them do that. So that is hence glorified. If we do it in the very young stage, in the devotional progress, if we have made so much progress only, and if we try to imitate alvars, then it will be laughable. That will not be accepted. But alvars in their high devotion, in their great stage, evolved state, if they do it, that is celebrated. So that was explained in the 52nd Sutram. Now 53rd Sutram. 53rd Sutram, Pillai Lokacharya is addressing another important aspect. Manavar Mamnigal gives that in the introduction. What is the context of this 53rd Sutram? That is being explained by Mamnigal in the introduction section. Let us see that. So Bhagavan is coming towards alvars. In that particular case, alvars are saying, sometimes in this overwhelming devotion, they are saying, "You go away from us." Or sometimes they decorate themselves and they try to attract Bhagavan towards them. So these are done by their overwhelming devotion. We saw that. Now this aspect is seen in uh, other aspects which are related to Bhagavan. Just like Bhagavan is the same Bhagavan, when the devotion, when their bhakti is in a stage where there is some boundary, they perform in one particular way. They behave in one particular way. That is, they means alvars here. When their bhakti grows and reaches its peak, they behave differently. It is the same Bhagavan, but with the same Bhagavan, they are behaving differently. Similarly, there are other aspects of Bhagavan. All of these are related to Bhagavan, which make them behave the same way, which make them react the same way. Just as their overwhelming devotion makes them behave differently with Bhagavan at different times. There are other aspects of Bhagavan which also makes them um, behave differently at different times. What are those? That is explained in this particular 53rd Sutram. Now, the beauty here is the behavior of alvars are quite contradictory. For example, if you look at the example of Bhagavan being very merciful and accepting alvars. Now, alvars have great devotion towards Bhagavan. They want to reach Bhagavan immediately. After performing surrender, now they are saying, I want to reach Bhagavan immediately, so I am going to try on my own to get him here. So they do activities such as decorating themselves or sending a messenger or performing madal, all of these to bring Bhagavan to them. That is the first, let's say this is the second stage. First stage is overwhelming devotion leading to prapaththi. They perform prapaththi, they perform surrender. The second stage is now they want to reach Bhagavan quickly, immediately. So what they do is they decorate themselves, they send messenger, they perform madal, and they go and fall at the feet of other devatas and so on. So that is the second stage. That itself is contradictory because their svarUpam should not accommodate that. As per their svarUpam, they should wait for Bhagavan to come and accept him whenever he desires. But because of overwhelming love, because of overwhelming urge to reach Bhagavan, they are doing this. Now the third stage is when such Bhagavan comes, what they do, they show their anger towards him. They say, now you are not welcome anymore. You delayed. Your arrival is delayed. You should have come 2 days ago, but now you are coming. So I am not going to accept you. You go away from me. We can manage without you. That is the romantic quarrel. So the same bhakti, the same overwhelming devotion is taking them through three stages which are quite contradictory to each other. That is the nature of that bhakti, overwhelming bhakti. Similarly, there are other aspects in Bhagavan where alvars have reacted in a contradictory way. What are those aspects? That is explained in this particular sutram. Let us see the sutram. Indha svabhAva viSEshangaL, kalyANa guNangaLilum, thiruchcharangaLilum, thirunAmangaLilum, thirukkuzhalOsaiyilum kANalAm. So in this sutram, Prilokacharya is saying the same behavior can be seen with respect to Bhagavan's divine qualities, auspicious qualities, and then Bhagavan's arrows, his divine arrows, and then his divine names, and then his flute music. So these are four particular aspects highlighted by Pillalokacharya, saying that alvars behave and treat these aspects differently depending on their mood or depending on their bhavam, depending on their situation. So that is the sutram here. As usual, the responsibility of a commentator is to explain the sutram in great detail. That is what Manavada Mamnigal is doing in this particular case as well. So let us see Mamnigal's commentary. So Mamnigal is saying, now in the svabhAva viSEshangaL, these aspects, these special aspects, here these special aspects, they are that is the overwhelming devotion, and this overwhelming devotion leading to different behaviors. That is what is highlighted as in the svabhAva viSEshangaL. After that, what are the other aspects which have same pattern? That is explained in the next part of this sutram. That is kalyANa guNangal, thiruchcharangaL, thirunAmangaL, thirukkuzhalOsaiyilum. That is kalyANa guNangal. That is auspicious qualities. There are many pasurams are quoted here. Alvar's pasurams are quoted here. Andal's pasuram is also quoted here to prove the point which is being made here. Because we can only prove by Alvar's pasurams. They are the direct evidence of whatever bhavam, whatever emotions they had. So Mamnigal is taking examples from Alvar's Pasurams and proving that the same quality or same aspect of Bhagavan that is related to Bhagavan make the Alvars behave differently at different times. That is what is being proved. So here for thirukkuzhalOsaiyilum Gunangal, for the divine auspicious qualities, Govindan Gunam Padi Avika Tirupene. This is from Nachiyar Tirumoli. Andal Nachiyar is saying, I will sing the glories of the auspicious qualities of Govinda Bhagavan. This is a decade, a padigam related to Tiruvenkadamudiyan, Bhagavat, Srinivasa Bhagavan in Tirupati, Tirumala. So, in that Pasuram, Andal Nachar is saying, I will sustain myself by um, singing the auspicious qualities of Bhagavan. So, that is said as Dharakam. That is, it is said as the one which helps Andal sustain herself. So we can relate this to thanai pyanavum pannum, thanai dharikavum pannum in the previous sutram, where the jivatma will protect oneself, nurture oneself, as well as will sustain oneself, and also will make Bhagavan go away from them if Bhagavan comes there. So that can be related here. So Govindan Gunam Padi Avikatirpene, I will sustain myself. And then there is another pasuram from Tiruvaimozhi. In this Tiruvaimozhi pasuram, Nammalvar is saying, Valvinayene Irgintra Gunangalai Udayai. You are having auspicious qualities which are piercing me. I have done great sins because I am in separation from you. I am a sinner, and your qualities are piercing me like a spear piercing into my body. So that is how much it is hurting me. So here in one pasuram, Andal Nachiyar is saying that I will sustain myself by singing your auspicious qualities. In another pasuram, Alvar is saying that your qualities are piercing me, your qualities are hurting me. So this is for the qualities. So both, they are favorable and unfavorable depending on their situation. After that, for thiruchcharangaL, that is divine arrows, Bhagavan's arrows, they also sometimes help sustain Alvars and sometimes they harm Alvars. That is explained in the next part here. Sarangalanda tan tamarai kannanukandri enmanam taaldu nillade. This is from Periya Tirumozhi, Tirumangai Alvar's Pasuram, where Alvar is saying that I am being, my heart will only remain attached towards Sri Rama, who handled the arrows in a wonderful way and destroyed Lanka. So here it is said as that which will help Alvar sustain himself. And in another pasuram, it is said that Sarangale Kodidai Adigintra. Sarangale Kodidai Adigintra means the arrows are most cruel and they are torturing me. That is the pasurams, that is the pasuram from again Tirumangai Alvar, where it is said that Alvar is in one time he is feeling that these arrows are that which help him sustain. Thinking about the arrows, he feels fearless and he feels joyful. But another time he says that I am being pierced by your arrows. Here in the context is your separation from you is making me feel this way. That is the context here. So both the arrows are favorable and unfavorable depending on Alvar's situation. And then his divine names, thirunAmangaL, they are also highlighted in the same manner. Thirumalai Padai Kette, Madakiliyai Kaigupi Vananginale. This is a famous pasuram from Tirunedundandagam, where Parakala Nayaki is worshipping her own parrot for repeating Bhagavan's divine names as taught by her previously when she is in sorrow. When she is in sorrow, Parkal is Parkala Swami, Tirumangalvar's feminine form. She is saying that I worship my own parrot, which is repeating Bhagavan's names. And then in another pasuram, Kannan Namame Kulari Kuntri. This is Nammalvar's pasuram, where it is where Nammalvar is saying towards his pet bird that you are reciting Krishna's name and killing me, because now I am in separation. I want to forget Bhagavan's name, but you are constantly reminding me about his name, and you are making me suffer greatly. So the same divine name is favorable and unfavorable. And finally, his flute music. ஆழ்வார்ஸ் பாசுரம் எங்களுக்கே ஒரு நாள் வந்தூத உன் குழலின் ஓசை போதராயே. This is from Tiruvaimozhi, where Nammalvar is saying that why don't you come and recite the this is from Perumal Tirumali, not Tiruvaimozhi, sorry. Kudashekhar Alvar is saying, why don't you come and recite the flute, play the flute for us once, so that we can sustain ourselves and we can enjoy. That is his words in one pasuram. And in another pasuram, Nammalvar is saying, Avanudai Thingulal Irumalo. His flute music is tormenting us. That is really troubling us. Because again, they are in separation and they are not able to be with Bhagavan. In that situation, his flute sound is tormenting them. So from all of these pasurams, we can understand that these four aspects also related to Bhagavan, they also sometimes give joy to Alvars, sometimes give harm to Alvars. So it is again to prove that there is similarity between this as well as Bhagavan himself and the overwhelming devotion which made him do like that, which made them behave in contradictory manner. So here also they are behaving in contradictory manner. At one time they say in this manner, and the other time they say that they are being tormented. So that is explained here in this Suthrams commentary by Mamunigal. Now there are a couple of aspects being clarified by Mamunigal in this particular Vyakyanam, in this commentary. Now, just as these auspicious qualities of Bhagavan, his arrows, divine arrows, his divine names, his flute music, all of these, they remain the same. Just as Bhagavan remains the same, these aspects also remain the same. He is not purposefully tormenting or giving joy to Alvar. Similarly, these aspects also are not purposefully giving joy or tormenting Alvars. It is that their mood or their bhavam gives them different experience depending on their situation. So the aspects, they remain the same way, but it is the reaction of the aspects have difference in their depending on their situation. So that particular aspect is explained here. And the second concept which is explained here is, as we went through the examples of Alvar's pasurams, we could see that there are different Alvar's pasurams being quoted here. Someone may raise an objection. Andal could sustain herself with Bhagavan's qualities, but Nammalvar could not sustain. They are different entities, so there is nothing contradictory here. She is able to do it, he is not able to do it. It's just different entities. Someone could say that. For that, Mamnigal is saying that even though these are quoted from different Alvars, all the Alvars are in the same level. They were all blessed by Bhagavan with divine true knowledge and greatly matured devotion. So whatever one Alvar says, it is applicable for other Alvar also. So here they are also glorified as Pesitre Pesum Eka Kandargal. That is, they all have harmonious speech. They speak the same principle across their pasarams, irrespective of who the entity is. Hence, there is the contradiction can be accepted because it is depending on their bhavam. They are saying like that, and even though they are different alvars, fundamental principle of alvar is common for all of them. So there is nothing. There is no shortcoming here in highlighting examples from different alvars pasurams. That is also explained here. And another clarification is also done. In one of the examples, we saw Sarangalanda Tantamare Kannanukandri Enmanam Tamilade and Sarangale Kodidai Adigendra. So these two examples were given in explaining the contradictory behavior of alvars with respect to divine arrows. There is a question. Interesting aspect here is this pasuram Sharangale Kodidai Adigendra, where the arrows are tormenting the Rakshasas. That is highlighted by Thirumangai. Now, the interesting aspect is Thirumangai is singing this in the mood of Rakshasas. We have seen Alvar singing pasurams in the mood of um, feminine mood, that is, singing pasurams as heroine, Bhagavan's divine consort, singing pasurams as the lead heroine's mother. In that particular bhavam also, pasurams are sung by Alvars. Pasurams are sung by Alvars in the mood of the heroine's friend. That is also seen. But Thirumangai Alvar, as unique as he is in all cases, he is also singing in the mood of Rakshasas being tormented by Bhagavan Sri Rama. In the Rama Ravana Yuddham, Rakshasas were heavily tormented and killed by Rama. To highlight that particular victory, the victorious nature of Bhagavan, Alvar took up the role of Rakshasas and sang 10 pasurams, 1 decade in that particular mood. Now, how can that be said as something, as an example for harm? Naturally, that is not done with a loving mood because Rakshasas don't have loving emotion towards Bhagavan. So, why is Tirumangai Pasuram as Rakshasas being quoted as something contradictory to a loving mood Pasuram? That is the question here. Again, all of these questions we may not even think about, but Mamnigal is raising all of these questions and giving clarification so that in future, if any such case, if such questions come up, there is ready answer available because they know the answers for all of these. We are learning from them. So Mamnigal is explaining that even in this case, when when Tirumangai Alvar is singing in Rakshasas mode, the goal of Tirumangai Alvar is to highlight the victory of Rama, and that victory of Rama is something enjoyable for the divine consort, that is um, Bhagavan's consorts such as Sri Devi, Bhumi Devi, Neela Devi, and also Alvars who take up this role of Parangushanagi, Parakalanagi, and so on. So, being a consort of Bhagavan, it is naturally joy to hear the victory of Bhagavan. So, even these pasurams, they are spoken in the with the intent, with the desire to bring out greatness of Bhagavan. And what best way it can be done than speaking as Rakshasas, because they are the ones who are hit by Rama and they know the real pain of being hit by Rama's banas, Rama Banam, that is the arrows of Rama. So when they explain it and when they explain the victory of Rama, it will be more impactful. Hence, Tirumangai Alvar is taking up this particular mood and he is explaining it. So there is nothing contradictory there also. So that is explained by Mamnigal. So this is one particular way of explaining it. there is another explanation given by Mamnigal in the commentary, that is relating to previous sutram, that is 52nd sutram, tannai penavum pannum, tannai dharikavum pannum. It will make oneself remain and sustain from being separated from Bhagavan, and also it will make always drive away Bhagavan from them. So that is also another concept which is explained by Mamnigal here. So one aspect is these qualities, these arrows, these divine names, and these particular uh, aspects such as the flute music of Bhagavan, they behave similar to Bhagavan himself in or they behave similar to their overwhelming, Alvar's overwhelming devotion. That is the first explanation. Second explanation is the four aspects which we have seen here. They will occur in the Alvar's mind, in the hearts of Alvar, to sustain themselves and to even refrain from Bhagavan due to romantic quarrel. So that particular aspect is also highlighted here. So both aspects are explained here in this sutram. So this is 53rd sutram. After that, we'll move on to 54th sutram. So from 54th sutram, the nature of prapaththi is explained in great detail. It is analyzed and explained in great detail. Let us first see the introduction section for 54th sutram given by Manavada Munigal. So up to here, so Mamnigal is first summarizing what has been explained so far. Greatness of prapaththi, that is prapaththi vaibhavam, and then tad vishaya vaibhavam, that is Bhagavan's greatness, tad adhikari traividyam, the three types of people who surrender to Bhagavan, and the surrender of bhakti paravashyas, that is those who are having overwhelming devotion, that being great, and then the changes which occur in the individual due to that overwhelming devotion. All of those were explained by Pililokacharya until now. Now, after this, an important principle is going to be explained by Pililokacharya, that because it is said in Shastram that this prapaththi itself can be considered as an upayam. That is, there are a couple of quotes from Shastram. One we have seen already, idam sharanam ajnanam. This prapaththi is the upayam for those who are ignorant, those who are very knowledgeable, those who are having overwhelming bhakti. So there it is said that this prapaththi is upayam. So in Shastram itself, prapaththi is highlighted as upayam. Just like karma yogam, jnana yogam, bhakti yogam, they are all said as upayam. Prapaththi is also said as upayam. And there is also yatnena kama kamena nasadhyam sadhanantaraihi mumukshuna yat sankyena yogena na cha bhaktitah prapyate paramam dama yato navartate punah tena tenabhyate tattanya senaiva mahamune paramatma cha tenaiva sadhyate purushottamah. So in this particular pramanam, it is explained that what is not easily accomplished by other upayams such as karma yogam, jnana yogam, bhakti yogam, that is accomplished through the upayam of prapatti, sharanagati. So in Shastram, it is highlighted as an upayam in some cases, and then the individuals, the categories of people who were identified previously, Agyar, Jnanadikyar, Bhakti Paravashyar, they were also they consider this particular prapaththi as the way to reach Bhagavan. That is, they are pursuing Bhagavan through prapaththi. Because of that, Also, there is a doubt which may arise here, that is prapaththi upayam. That is the doubt which can naturally arise, that can naturally come. Now, to eliminate such doubt and to establish that prapaththi is not the upayam, it is only a qualification in the Jivatma to reach Bhagavan. That principle, to establish that principle, Pallilokacharya starts explaining in the next several sutrams about that. Whatever confusion, whatever mistake one may commit by considering prapaththi as upayam, that is highlighted by Pallilokacharya in this next set of sutrams. Let us start saying them now. 54th sutram. இது தன்னை பார்த்தால் பிதாவுக்கு புத்திரன் எழுத்து வாங்குமா போல இருப்பதொன்று. So first, here Pallilokacharya is saying, if you look at prapaththi, the nature of prapaththi, the way a Jivatma says, I surrender unto Bhagavan and accept Bhagavan as upayam, that appears like a son going to a father and requesting the father to give in writing that he will be protecting the son forever. So that example is shown, a laukika worldly example is shown to establish that we cannot consider prapaththi as upayam. Because when we look at prapaththi, look at our act of prapaththi, we go and accept Bhagavan as upayam. When we accept him as upayam, that means before we consider that before he was not upayam and now he is upayam. So that consideration itself is wrong. But we have no other option. We have to accept Bhagavan as upayam. So we perform prapaththi, we accept Bhagavan as upayam. But the attitude should be that he was always our upayam. Now only we recognize it. That is the only option here. Beyond that, there is no scope in prapaththi also. But if we think other ways, that you become the upayam for me now, you start protecting me now. If we think like that, then that will be similar to getting something documented in writing that a father will protect the son. It is the natural duty of the father to protect the son, and the father has been protecting the son since the son was born. But if we go and ask now, then it will be very laughable. It will not be apt. So that is the simple meaning of the sutram. Mamnigal gives very nice explanation here. Let us see that. So here, the father being the one who gave birth to the son, naturally, father being the well-wisher of the son, he will protect the son all the times. And from the time of birth, the son's birth, even without the knowledge of the child, he has been protecting the child. Similarly, Bhagavan has been protecting us, has been guiding us since time immemorial. As long as we are there, which is permanent. We have always been here. For all of that times, Bhagavan has been protecting us. So now, if we go and ask him, protect me, accept my surrender, if we say that, that is similar to a son going to a father and saying, now give me in writing that you will protect me. So that act itself is laughable, but there is no other way for the Jivatma to manifest his dependency, total dependency towards Bhagavan. Hence, this prapaththi is still recommended. So that is explained here. It will cause, if a son goes to a father and says, give me in writing, that will make the relationship itself questionable. The father will respond to the son saying, do you even speak with your sense? Do you even know who we are? We are father and son. Why are you talking like that? That is how the father will respond. So that is what is highlighted here. This is how prapaththi is. When we look at prapaththi, when we analyze prapaththi as an upayam, as a means, this is what it will look like. But a natural activity, the father will protect the son naturally. So in that sense, prapaththi is okay. That prapaththi is the natural quality of accepting Bhagavan as the protector. But if we think that prapaththi is an upayam, if the concept of upayam comes here because when the upayam is performed, then the result will be there. So if we think only because of my prapaththi, only because of my surrender, Bhagavan is helping, that is where the confusion arises. That is what happens when prapaththi is thought about as a upayam. And that is explained with this example of a son going to a father and asking for a a written statement saying that I will protect you. So that is explained in 54th Sutram. Next, we'll have a look at 55th Sutram. Now, 55th and 56th Sutram, in these Sutrams, the nature of prapaththi and its ancillary aspects, they are explained by Pulalokacharya here. Let us see 55th Sutram first. Now, what is the Mamnigal is giving the context in the introduction section. So, what is the context of, what is the true nature of prapaththi? That is what is explained here in this 55th Sutram. இது தனக்கு ஸ்வரூபம் தன்னை பொறாதொழிகை. இது தனக்கு ஸ்வரூபம். Idu means prapaththi. இது தனக்கு for this prapaththi ஸ்வரூபம் true nature is தன்னை பொறாதொழிகை. தன்னை பொறாதொழிகை means it will not accept itself as upayam. It will not accept itself as means. So that is explained in the sutram. The true nature of prapaththi is that it will not accept itself as upayam. Now, we already know this because the definition of prapaththi itself is accepting Bhagavan as upayam. So, when accepting Bhagavan as the upayam is the definition of prapaththi, naturally it will not accept itself as upayam. So, that is the simple explanation for the sutram. Mamnigal gives this in the vyakhyanam. This svarupam means asadharana akaram, that is direct and straight explanation of the particular principle. That is what is svarupam, the true nature. That true nature is what is explained in this word svarupam. Now, tannai poradhozhigai means upaya varanam. Prapaththi is upaya varanam, that is accepting Bhagavan as the upayam. That is what is prapaththi. When that is the definition for prapaththi, how can it tolerate itself as upayam? So that is the question being asked here. So there is no way it will accept itself as upayam. But superficially, when we look at superficially, prapaththi may be looked at as an upayam. Why? Because we see that after surrender we are getting the result. In that particular superficial viewpoint, prapaththi may be looked at as a upayam. Upayam means that which leads to the result. So because prapaththi is taking us closer to the result, we may think superficially that prapaththi is upayam. But if we look deep into it, prapathi's definition itself clarifies that it is not the upayam. Bhagavan is the upayam. When that is the case, we cannot say prapaththi as upayam. And there is a second explanation given by Mamnigal. That is, if we consider prapaththi as upayam, that is not acceptable because prapaththi is the natural disposition. When I say that, when I pray to Bhagavan, you be my upayam and help me and protect me, by that prayer it is clear that I am not the upayam, or not this prapaththi is the upayam, only Bhagavan is upayam. So in this case also, the prapaththi itself will not accept itself as the upayam. That is clear. So that is the true nature of prapaththi. By superficially, if we look at prapaththi, it may look as upayam, but if we look deep into it, the definition itself clearly says that it is not the upayam. So that is explained by Mamnigal. Now, Pillokacharya is raising another question here and answering that question, because Mamnigal is quoting a nyayam, a particular principle in the introduction section of this 56th Sutram, and he is explaining that. Let us see that now. In Charma Shlokam, in Gita Charma Shlokam, this prapaththi is instructed by Bhagavan along with an ancillary prerequisite, that is sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So Bhagavan in the first part of this Charma Shlokam is saying, give up all the upayams, sarvadharman, all upayams, parityajya, give them up clearly, perfectly, give them up clearly, along with the traces, along with the ancillary aspects. Give up all the upayams completely, and mam ekam sharanam vraja, accept me only as the upayam. This is the meaning for first line of the Charma Shlokam. Now, there is a nyayam, there is a principle that yat yat sangam tat tat sadhanam. Whatever has prerequisites, whatever has limbs, that is a sadhanam. Sadhanam, upayam, prapakam, all of these have the same meaning. So this, according to this rule, whatever is having limbs, that will be considered as upayam. So for example, if we have to perform, a simple example, if we have to perform Sandhyavandanam, one must have taken bath. So this Sandhyavandanam is considered as an upayam for something, and that is because it has got some prerequisite. Similarly, if you take Thiruvaradhanam, if you have to do daily Thiruvaradhanam, for that we should have performed some prerequisites such as taking bath, purifying ourselves, applying Urdhva, all of this, performing Sandhyavandanam, all of these. So whatever anything which has limbs, that will be considered as sadhanam, that will be considered as upayam. Can prapaththi be considered as upayam due to this reason? Because in Charma Shlokam, Bhagavan is saying that you give up everything first and then accept me as the upayam. So this acceptance of upayam is prapaththi. Vraja is the prapaththi. Jivatma accepting Bhagavan as upayam is prapaththi. For that to happen, he must have given up everything. So there is a prerequisite. So because there is a prerequisite for prapaththi as ordered by Bhagavan, why not we accept that prapaththi as upayam? That is the question here. For that, Pillokacharya is answering in this 56th Sutram, angam thannai ozhindhavaRRaip poRAdhozhigai. The angam for prapaththi is not accepting anything else as upayam. That is the angam. The prerequisite here is to reject everything else. So that also clarifies that the fact that the prerequisite for prapaththi is to reject everything else and only have prapaththi as the qualification in the jivatma. Because of that, this can also be not considered as a reason to consider prapaththi as upayam. That is explained in this sutram. Mamnigal's commentary, it will be clearer when we see the commentary. Because when we look at angam, just now we saw an example. Thiruvaradhanam has prerequisites. They are all actions. When they are actions which are prerequisites, that can be said as, that particular principle can be said as sadhanam, upayam. But here, inaction or giving up other aspects is shown as the prerequisite. So that concept of yat yat sadhanam, yat yat sangam, tat tat sadhanam will not apply here. So that is explained by Mamnigal here. So it's a very clear demarcation. Even though there are prerequisite here, the prerequisite itself is to give up everything else, give up all other upayams and only do prapaththi to accept Bhagavan as upayam. So here the yadyat sangam, that which has angam, that which has limbs or prerequisites, that is considered to be sadhanam, that is considered to be upayam. That particular rule cannot be applied here because the prerequisites are not actions, but they are withdrawal from other actions. So that difference is there. Hence, this particular prapaththi cannot be considered as upayatvam, considered as upayam. So this angam is in the form of nivritti. If the angam is in the form of pravritti, then that rule can be applicable. But this angam for this prapaththi is giving up everything else. Hence, that rule cannot be applied here. And hence, this prapaththi is not upayam. So that is established up to here. We have seen up to 56th sutram. Now 57, 58, 59 sutrams, they are again further explanations for prapaththi not being an upayam. Very clear explanation by Pillai Lokacharya and Manavada Mamnigal in the beautiful commentary. We will see them in the next session. Next session will be on next Saturday at 11:30 in English. We will resume our regular classes from tomorrow. We will have our morning session. From Tuesday, our regular sessions, both morning and evening, will be resumed. Now at 1:30, we'll have Bhagavad Avatarams in Tirupavai. Whoever possible can join that as well. ஆழ்வார் திருவடிகளே சரணம், எம்பெருமானார் திருவடிகளே சரணம், பிள்ளைலோக்காச்சாரியர் திருவடிகளே சரணம், ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம், ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். Okay. We'll recite Pasram and complete the session. எம்பெருமானார் தரிசனம் என்ற இதற்கு நம்பெருமாள் பெயரிட்டு நாட்டி வைத்தார். அம்புவியோர் இந்த தரிசனத்தை எம்பெருமானார் வளர்த்த அந்த செயலறிகைக்கா. அடியன் ராமானுதாசன்.